No, thank you both for being with me. It's always fun to be able, for me, to have that privilege to read a comic book, read a book, a movie, a TV show, and then be able to pick up the brains of the people who are behind it, because not everybody gets that privilege, gets that opportunity.
And there's no cons, there's no conventions to go to right now, so
yeah, I know. Yeah, that's another thing. So this is going to be everyone's opportunity to get to know Slow City Blues, which is obviously written by you, Samuel Haine. And then we have John Livesay, who did the inks and finishes. Also on that book are going to be Sean Mull with pencils, a good friend of mine, David Barron, on colors.
Hey.
So I'm going to talk very good about him, obviously. Thomas Maurer on letters, and then you have Artisha Mann Cooper on as a story consultant.
Yes.
All right. You know what? I'll let you do this because you're probably going to do it better than I will. Tell us about Slow City Blues.
It is an action. I mean, we'll start with the macro and boil it down to the micro, right? It's an action adventure noir that takes place inside a detective's imagination, where he ends up after a horrific accident. And it's a story of him trying to get it together and be a better human being, while also dealing with all these like crazy, zany, wacky characters and allies and villains and imperfect allies. And hopefully, we don't know where it's going, but hopefully, in the end, he's going to hopefully try to make it back to his wife and son. So, but while he's trapped in his imagination, he's got some work to do.
So I went into this book blind. I didn't read the synopsis.
Good.
I didn't look anything up. And I was like, what is up with this 6-foot skunk? What is up with these aliens? And I have to say, as a first issue for like a setup to the story, you slowly really got me going and got me pulling me in little by little with different things. And by the time I get to the last few pages, and then there's a couple of key words that Moof says to John.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, whoa, wait, what's going on? Why is this? What's going on? And then obviously you do a great job with the nice little cliffhanger as to, I don't know, but obviously to prepare a little bit more on it. And I'm kind of like, man, I wish I kind of didn't have to do that. It was fun. It was a lot of fun, but I'm so excited to see what happens next.
Awesome.
John, between your inks and I have to say the colors by David Barron, I love the gritty feel of it. Good. Obviously, it has to do with Sean also when he does with his pencils, but that shading and then with those bright colors give it just enough brightness to really make it feel like out of something in the imagination.
Yeah.
While at the same time still being gritty and dark.
Yes.
And I really
the imagination of a detective, right?
You want to talk a little bit about your work on the book and how we're.
Yeah, since as you've seen, there's basically only one human in this story for right now, and everyone else are just different characters and things and animals. So I had to really, after going back and forth with Sean a lot, and when he sent me the pencils, I really was trying to figure out, I had to give each character their different look and feel with all the textures and the rendering, just to really make each individual stand out. Like with the Flytrap gang, with that big bar fight, like rendering out their heads and all their tentacles and stuff, and make it look a little like they're kind of consistently moving, like they're plants, and they're just like, you can see like the growth inside them. And then with Moof, I finally got down what I wanted to do for his hair and very coarse fur, like especially like a splash page, and he shows up, like his arm, it's almost like you can touch it. It looks very, I don't know if realistic's the best word, but it looks very like you just reach out and feel it. So, but it took my time. And once I got each character kind of locked in about how I wanted them to be represented with the line work, it went a little quicker after that. But I was like, really just staring. I was like, all right, there's another guy with fur. Now I have to make his fur look different. So it's just kind of back.
I didn't make his job easy.
Yeah, but once I eventually, and I had like, because I use a dip quill, like when you go in an ink bottle with a little metal quill. So I had specific ones that I knew, like this was my Moof quill, and this was for the Flytrap guys, and I had a certain one for John's hair, and then his bomber jacket with that kind of fake lamb wool on the collar. So I was make sure and just turn it, make it look very just old and like just scratching up the jacket. So I was really trying to do my best to make sure I put as much line work as possible to make it look super cool. And you're definitely getting your money's worth from each page.
Oh yeah, definitely. One thing I was going to mention about Moof and the design that you guys have as a creative team was, even though I didn't know that he was a figment necessarily of his imagination, I always felt like he had this like hint of like a Cheshire cat type feel to him. He didn't feel quite real to me, but at the same time, didn't feel fake either. So I really think that you guys did a great job at with all the work in designing him. And then
Nice.
just with
Cool.
everything going around with John Loris, I thought it made it kind of suspect. It was
It's we tipped our we tipped our hand, but didn't show you everything until till the end there, and then you go, okay, here we go, this makes sense, now let's see what happens.
Yes. Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, this is your first full feature comic book that you're doing?
This is my first time at bat, and I'm so happy and thankful to have the team that I had to work with and to be mentored by Shooter. I've gone to I coined it the Shooter School of Storytelling, which was a lot like you remember in Kill Bill Volume 2 when Bill takes Kid to Pai Mei, like the old
Yes.
1-inch punch. That's how it felt. So I definitely got like all stick and no carrot training of how to tell a comic book story for years, and then I got to take that and then bring it into working with Sean and John and and Dave, and so it was a trip for this to be like, it felt like I got tossed into the ocean. It was like, all right, kids, swim. We'll see you on shore. But it was rad to be able to work with such high level talent, and it's such a blessing.
Sometimes that's just the way to go. You just gotta get in there.
Dive in, yeah.
Why was this the right story for you to start with?
It honestly, it came out of spite, right? Like a lot of things come out of like being told, no, you can't do something. And so I was told, no, you can't do this. I'm a huge fan. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. I'm a huge noir fan. Big, massive Dresden Files, the novel series by Jim Butcher. Huge Bill Willingham fables. Big B Wolf is one of my favorite characters. And so actually there was a video game company that was doing the adaptation for Fables, and I almost got hired and I didn't. And it like something, sat with me of like, oh, I can't do it. Oh, you say that I can't do it? Well, I'm gonna do it, and so it just kind of, it plopped out of my head. And it's just like, I love that, like my brain is a bag of cats, and so it was like, well, we should explore this, and how do you explore humanity, and luckily we're thankfully in the time that we're in, and so it's like growing up and being a better human and a better man and a better so it's like it's kind of that I was able to use his story to kind of like reflect like the journeys and trials and tribulations that I was going to, but you get to do it in a way that's like talking to somebody instead of at somebody. And it's done subtly because there's just so much craziness and zaniness and fun action going on, where it's like we get to say like the 40-year-old virgin, right, where it's like, oh, this is a really smart movie, but it's about dicks and virgins and farts and whatever. So it's almost akin to that, where it's like, it's so crazy and wild, it's like this candy-coated Trojan horse of a story. And it's like, that was something that I really was excited to tell, because I'm also like a huge like John McClane and Indiana Jones fan. And so if there's one thing that those like 80s action stars had in common, it's like they got their butt kicked and they just pulled it out by the skin of their teeth. And that, it's like, well, where do you kick your butt the most? Well, being self-deprecative, you do it to yourself and in your mind. And so it's like, well, what if I didn't do it to me, or you didn't do it to you, Emmanuel? What if a Venus flytrap gang beat you up? Like that kind of stuff. So it was like, this feels like a good fit.
I guess, yeah, first issue was a great start. John, how do
Thanks,
you
man.
approach working with the first time writer?
Well, like it was just a lot of just back and forth, because he really had to just get the hang of working with pro guys that have been doing this for a really long time. And there was stuff that he latched onto pretty quickly, but then there was like things like, hey, he wanted to add in more pages and more pages to every issue. And I was like, no, you got to figure it out and make it work. And the page count we have, we can't just go over budget and just keep adding 9 pages here or this, or we can't have every page have 10 panels. We need to condense it down so it's not you don't like it, it's taking me so long to do this page. So we got to have a couple big shots here and there to really, show some stuff. But he caught on pretty quick. It's all just learning as you go. And, even like, trying to do editing notes and figure out balloon, going along with Tom with balloon placements. And then, David was very good in helping him, like, hey, this would work for this color, because Sam would ask me, like, what do you think the color is? I'm like, man, I like this, but I would defer to David. He knows what he's talking about. So just, let's just ask him.
Sounds like it was quite the journey, but nevertheless, the book got finished, and here we are now talking about it with it being released very soon in June.
Yeah, everything, all 5 issues are all done.
Yeah,
everything's done and ready to go.
I look forward to checking it out. I want to ask you also, Sam, what was your biggest takeaway from that school of shooter that you're talking about?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt, clarity. Clarity is key, and especially from me coming from a background like film and TV, you take for granted fluidity of motion, and so it's like that old, like what like King Kirby would used to say, where it's like you have to pick your shots and they have to be the most energetic, life-filled shots. But with Jim, it was clarity, because if you don't understand what's going on as the reader, you don't care. And my job as the writer is to make you care. And so that it's like, if it ain't clear, they don't care. And then it just like writing is rewriting. I think that was, that's what it is anyway. But like, it was really nice to then be able to go back to Jim and him go like, no, wrong, do it again. No, wrong, And so it was to have that, like, to have that very like danger room, like the X-Men, but like safe space to train, where it's like, you're still going to take a couple punches, but you're not going to get out there and get pummeled by the public. It's like getting smacked by Shooter is a lot less painful than, getting strung up by, by the Twitterverse.
Yeah, because what are you really gonna argue with him?
Yeah, exactly. Right? No, you don't. Otherwise, he'll say, "I'm gonna murder you with a machete if you don't do this." But then he'll, in the same sentence, go, "But you got this, kid." Like, I'm inspired and fearful, and I'll do it. I'll do it right now. So it was fantastic to have that, to have him as a mentor.
So you have John here telling you need to cut down these pages, or you need to simplify these things. You have this imaginative idea of this world inside of the detective John's head. How frustrating was it at times for you to try and maybe leave something out that maybe you wanted, or how did that work for you as far as cutting things?
It's always kill your darlings, right? Like the first thing you find out, whether it's like Shonda Rhimes telling you this, or Jim Shooter telling you this, or I've been lucky enough to have Kristen Hanna as another mentor, where it's like, if you like it, 99% of the chances you'll go and get rid of it. I think the one thing that actually stuck in there was that first double page spread of the bar, of like the cantina shot where you get to introduce into the world. But there was a lot. I would call John and I would talk to Sean all the time, and I would try to pull that like sex criminals maneuver with the 69 panels, and Sean would call me and go, he goes, I know what you're talking about, because I go like, oh, they do the Macarena in one panel, and he's like, you can't do the Macarena in one panel, my dude. And he's like, that is 5 pages. And I'd call John and go like, I'm gonna make the book longer by 5 pages. And he'd and go, you don't have the budget, figure it out. And so it was like trying to pack it all in, like, okay, what do I need? Again, back to being clear. What do I need to get the story across and have it be engaging? And then you can layer on the action or the jokes. Jokes a lot of the time get tossed out because then like it doesn't service story. It's just window dressing.
Mhm.
But it was about like boiling it down to its necessities and then like painting it, putting it back together. Like, well, I could stick that dick joke there, or like I could have someone kick him in the balls there. A lot of ball kicking in this throughout this series. I think it's hilarious. I'm never gonna stop writing about it, probably until I have a kid and they hit me in the nuts.
Oh. So I'm gonna wrap this up. I want to ask you both, get your opinion. What do you hope our readers take away from Slow City Blues?
Let John go first.
Like just taking, from the parts I've done, taking all the ridiculously crazy artwork that like with the pencils and inks, it's very detailed, it's very luscious with all the line work, and David's colors, as you've seen, are great, and it really adds to the weirdness of this world. So we have like he's got a very nice palette, and it's very appealing to the eye with all the colors he did.
Yeah. I think for me it's a two-part answer. First, thematically, I gotta shout out Tish. We brought her on and she really helped hone in the messages and the themes and really helped me kick the tires on the macro. And so I think the takeaway for the themes and motifs would be, hopefully it inspires a bit of empathy and introspection, especially because it's about the guy being in his imagination. But I mean, on story wise, I hope everybody enjoys it and it's satisfying and it's clear and they're excited for the next one, because we have the series all plotted out in my head and I have the next one written. So I hope they walk away going, that was wild, because the next one is even crazier. So
nice. And hopefully we can just fit it into the appropriate amount of pages.
Yes, exactly.
Probably not.
One day, Sam, you'll get the Macarena in one of these books.
There it is. We'll figure it out.
That's the goal. Last but not least, tell us when and where to find it.
It is coming out because this interview will be out June 7th. So this is coming out June 7th today. You can get it. You can get it at wearezoop.com or zoop.gg/SlowCityBlues. Or to make it easier for you guys, you can go to our social medias. Our Twitter and our Instagram are both at Slow City Blues, at SCB Comics, and then our link to the website is in the bio.
Awesome.
And Zoop is spelled ZOOP, not so it's Zoom. So just make sure it is clear on that. And then my Twitter handle is at @1 John Livesay. So I'm very easy to get a hold of if you have questions about the book, or where to get it, or you want to check out. I've been putting up panels and pages from the book, so everybody can start getting had been getting a sneak peek before today, but we'll definitely be putting up a lot more this whole month.
Yeah,
check it out now though. The early bird specials,
yes,
are insane, and we're gonna have some stuff that is just up for the early bird special, and you guys are not gonna want to miss out on that.
Yes, for today and tomorrow, the deals that we have on those are gonna be great, and we'll be you'll be able to see all the covers, the amazing lineup of cover artists we have for this book. They're all done, they're all in, and you'll be able to check all those out today.
Fantastic. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thanks.
All right.
We hope so.
Yeah. Sam, John, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Great book.
Thank you.
Sam, congrats on the book.
Thank you.
Like I said,